you to leave. So I just wanted to make that statement. Okay, Wendy.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight, and welcome to the 104th annual meeting of the Jewish Federation of Greater Portland. I'm Mindy Zeitzer, and I'm chair of the board of the Jewish Federation. And I am truly honored to share this evening with all of you, and thank you all for being here tonight. So, first things first, we always have a little bit of business on our agenda at our annual meetings. So we're going to take care of a little bit of business first, and then we're going to go ahead and move into a year in review and share with you some of the challenges of this year. And unfortunately, there have been many challenges that we've encountered this year, but we've also had quite a lot of successes. So I'm excited to share some of those with you as well. So moving into our business first, we're going to call up Jack Birnbach, who this year is not only our campaign co-chair, but also chaired our nomination committee. Jack.
So lucky me, I'm the chair of the nominating committee. And first I want to thank Karon Blau-Rothstein, who on the professional staff who helped us put this together. It's the Karon and Jack show once again. And I also want to thank Craig Byrne, Simon Gottheimer, Shura Rubenstein, and Eliana Temkin, because they helped us select people for nominate for the board. First, we have 4 outgoing board members who just did a wonderful job for us. Jody Freed, Dr. Christy Moore, Sarah Rosenberg Brown, and Jeffrey Weitz. You know, these are all volunteers, and they really give a lot of time, and I'm just grateful for them. We're also excited to welcome 2 new board members to represent the best and the brightest of our community leadership, who will work alongside the rest of our board and professional leadership to keep our good works going forward. Let me tell you about the 2 terrific people we have. First is Doug Blauer. Doug is the incoming chair of the CRC, or Community Relations Council, after having served as its vice chair and chair of the Intergroup Outreach Committee. Seriously, he's passionate about security and community engagement, and of course he's a multi-generational native of Portland and a 3rd-generation owner of the family business Shed Rain. He is also dad to Sam and Lucy and husband to Amy, and welcome aboard, Doug. And if there's ever a time that we need CRC, this is it. So thanks, Doug. Jeff Robinson. Jeff is a professor and chair of the Department of Communications at Portland State University. His research focuses on the effect of doctor-patient communication in health outcomes. Jeff moved from New Jersey to Portland in 2009 with his wife, Julia, and 2 daughters, Isabella and Emma. Jeff's family is a member here at Congregation Neve Shalom, and his daughters attend PJA. He has volunteered for the Federation in many roles over the past 15 years, including a previous term on the board, chairing Super Sunday and the Allocations Committee. Thank you, Jeff, for all of your mentorship to me in that role. As well as serving on the Community Study and Advisory Committee. By the way, Jeff's an avid fan of science fiction and fantasy genres. So if you will all join me in voting yes, raise your hand and say aye. Any opposed? Good. We have 2 new board members. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Jack. And I want to send a special thank you to Sarah and Jody and Christy and Jeffrey, who are stepping down off the board this year. It's been a pleasure to work with them. And I want to extend a big welcome to our two new board members, Jeff and Doug. So thank you. I'm looking forward to working with you both next year. And we have our next slide. Here is the slide that lists all of our incoming, or all of our board members for this next upcoming year. And so I want to, again, just say welcome, and I'm delighted to work with you in this upcoming year. So good year ahead. I would like to now call up Jody Freed to present the Lori Rogaway Outstanding Jewish Professional Award.
Hi, everybody. All right. It's wonderful to be here again with all of you. So go ahead and take a look around the room, look to your left, look to your right. And among you sit some very special people, some very dedicated Jewish community professionals who work day in and day out to make our Jewish community in Portland, Oregon, strong. The Lori Rogaway Outstanding Jewish Professional Award is now in its 10th year and recognizes a Jewish professional, a Jewish leader in our midst who does outstanding work and has a true commitment to the field of Jewish professional leadership. This professional supports the vibrancy of our community, understands the issues facing our community, and approaches their work in a creative way, and is a team player. The recipient receives an $1,800 stipend towards the professional development of their choice. Appreciation to our thoughtful and diverse committee, Karen Blauer, Eliana Temkin, Sarah Howard, Sonia Marie Lakem, Mark Meyer, Rachel Nelson, Missy Fry, Fred Nelson, and Alicia Babstein. It is our honor to learn about the inspired and impactful contributions of the Jewish professionals in our community, and it's our privilege to honor one of these professionals with this meaningful award. The 2024 recipient of the Lori Rogaway Professional Leadership Award is Etty Segal. And we have a beautiful plaque for Etty, which we'll show you in a minute. So a few weeks ago, I crept into the foundation school at Neva Shalom with Caron Rothstein with a bouquet of balloons and flowers, and we crept in to surprise Etty with this award. What struck me was Etty's quiet confidence, her clear connection with both students and teachers, her smile, and also her tears. I could feel Etty's modesty, her surprise, her excitement, and also her sadness as she held the joy of this achievement and also her sadness around Israel. Born and raised in Israel, Etty received an LLB in law from the College of Management Academic Studies in Israel and received extensive training and education in the Army. She's worked both in education and in law, most recently taking on a variety of positions at Neva Shalom. You can stay. She teaches Hebrew to adults and children at Neva's Aliyah program and has gone on to serve as the Hebrew and Judaics coordinator at Foundation School, where she trains teachers and interfaces with parents around the Hebrew and Judaic content. Her impact, though, extends far beyond preschool. She's put together community events like the Yom HaZikaron community commemoration at the MJCC, and the Mamuna, which was an event to showcase the Sephardic tradition of Mamuna, a festive meal of pancake-like breads traditionally eaten right after Passover. And in her efforts at the helm of these events and more, she has brought together hundreds of community members to celebrate Jewish life and honor Israel right here in Portland. Etty is described She's described by her colleagues as an educator who values kavod, respect, and who not only embodies this midah, this character trait, but who also has taught her fellow educators and students about the importance of showing kavod to each other, to teachers, to parents, and to the natural world. This concept is now embodied at Foundation School by staff and students alike. And so at a time when anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are looming and infiltrating our communities, and at a time where Jews yearn to unite around Israel and share their love of Judaism with others, we need people to bring us together, to share their love and joy of Judaism and Israel, and to educate our next generation. Etty is a model educator and so much more. So please join me in congratulating Etty on receiving the 2024 Ragaway Award. Beautiful plaque.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, to be honest, I'm very embarrassed. I didn't expect 200 people here, no one told me. First of all, thank you for all of you for coming tonight. Tonight, as I stand before you to receive the Lori Rogway Outstanding Jewish Professional Award, I am deeply moved and honored. This recognition is not just a reflection of my own efforts, but of the incredible support and contribution of many individuals and organizations. I want to express my gratitude to Candace Rochton first for putting my nomination for this award and for being an amazing manager. I appreciate you and grateful to work beside you. I don't know if she's here, but thank you, Candace. Yeah. Mel, where you are, of course. Mel Berwin, my mentor, my manager, and my family, for opening the door for me and for my family to join their remarkable community at Congregation Neve Shalom. Your support and guidance have meant the world to me. Thank you. I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Jewish Federation for all of you that working 24/7 in these challenging times. Your unwavering dedication to our Israeli and Jewish community is truly inspiring. Thank you. I am grateful for all the work that you do to support and uplift our community, especially during these difficult days. And to my amazing family and friends that are here with me tonight, thank you for your endless love and support. I am blessed to have you by my side. Receiving this award is an humbling experience, and I'm honored to be a part of such an amazing and caring community. Thank you all for your kindness, support, and belief in me. Have a good night. Thank you.
Etty, Mazel Tov, well-deserved, and thank you for your wonderful words. Good evening, I'm Mark Blattner. I'm the president and CEO of the Jewish Federation, and we're delighted to have you all here tonight. It's first my pleasure to announce the recipients of the Sussman Shanker Scholarship Fund. Unfortunately, Rich Meyer, who's the chair of the committee, could not be with us tonight. The Sussman Scholarship Fund was established in 1981 by Lillian and Gilbert Sussman to provide grants to Jewish students from the Portland metro area toward their higher education at colleges or universities in the United States. This past year, in honor of his 85th birthday, Lillian and Gilbert's son-in-law, Arden Shanker, their daughter, his wife, Lois Shanker, renamed the fund the Sussman Shanker Fund. So we are honored to present two scholarships tonight. One is to Tali Greenfield, who will be attending Washington University in St. Louis, and Miriam Plauner, who will be attending Boston University. If you could please come up to receive your awards.
So while we're on the recognition and celebratory portion of our meeting this evening, I would like to take a few minutes to recognize a monumental occasion. So this year, Mark Blattner is celebrating his 30th year in the Federation system. So monumental. Mark has been a leader in several federations and has made considerable contributions through his vision and his hard work in various roles. He's served at federations in Baltimore, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and of course here in Portland. He's held roles including Campaign and Missions Director, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Resource Development and Strategy Officer, and since 2010, CEO and President of the Jewish Federation of Greater Portland. And we all know that in his time here, he's been an exceptional leader and has made a significant impact on our own community. Since he came to Portland, he's led the efforts of new programs, initiatives, collaborations, and of course, fundraising. He's worked with countless community members, professional leaders, lay leaders, and helped develop young and novice leaders. He's also worked with 6 board chairs, who, by the way, all sing his praises. But we really shouldn't just mention his time in Federation, because in actuality, Mark's leadership in the Jewish community spans back to his youth. How many of you knew that Mark was Grand Aleph Gadol, International President of AZA, where he worked with his counterpart, Michelle Kaplan, who I know I saw here, who was International Nasiya of BBG, President of BBG. Thank you, BBYO, for creating amazing leaders. And Mark also, back in his youth, rallied in Washington for Soviet Jewry in 1987. This marked an inspirational moment for him. This was life-changing for him, where it really left an impression, and he was inspired from then forward to be involved in Jewish communal work. And here he is today. We are lucky that we have a few words from some of the individuals he's worked with over the years who, like our board chairs, have sung his praises. Daryl Friedman was Mark's mentor as a student, later his boss, and then career mentor. And Daryl explained, Mark has grown professionally beyond anybody's expectations. He's just a very unique individual, and Portland is lucky to have him. Daryl also commented about Mark's strong ability to develop relationships and his bright visions for the future. And Daryl, who isn't here, I couldn't agree more. A colleague from his time in Baltimore, and now the CEO of Jewish Federation of Greater Pittsburgh, commented how working with Mark made him a better professional. Mark stays positive in tough situations. He always sees the good in people and is an incredible leader. His words, Mark has the secret sauce to success. Robin Minkoff, a Jewish professional who knew Mark in his youth and then reconnected during his time in Philadelphia, described Mark as being true north. He has always aspired to make the Jewish community stronger wherever he would live and in the most honorable ways. He set his intention, he's walked that path, and he's leading others to walk that path with him. And now we have a few words from the big guy, Eric Fingerhut, who is President and CEO of Jewish Federations of North America.
Hi, I'm Eric Fingerhut, President and CEO of the Jewish Federations of North America. It is my enormous pleasure to participate in this wonderful meeting and congratulate my good friend Mark Blattner on his success and his commitment on this occasion of his 30th anniversary of service to the Jewish Federation system, including 14 years of service to this wonderful community of Portland. Mark, throughout this tenure, has demonstrated his love of the Jewish people, his commitment to his community, his innovative approach, his ability to inspire people to follow him on one important journey after another. Mark, we're so fortunate to have you amongst our colleagues. We look to you for your wisdom and your advice, and I know the communities you've served are grateful for all the years of service to you and to your family and to all those who have stood by your side. We thank them also for making it possible for you to lead. When the Torah is out of the ark on Shabbat morning, we say special blessings, Misha Berach, for people who've had children, for those who are getting married, many different occasions. And then we say a blessing for those who care for the community. We say, Mi she'oskim b'tzorchei tzipor be'emunah, and to those who care for our community with faith, literally, emunah is faith, but it also has the feeling of love and caring and devotion. Mark, you are truly a tzorchei tzipor be'emunah. You are a leader who has cared for your community, our community, with love, with faith, and with caring. We thank you. We wish you many, many more years of service to the Jewish Federation system and the Jewish community. Kol hakavod, chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. May you go from strength to strength.
We are incredibly grateful that Mark calls our Portland Jewish community home and that he works tirelessly for our own federation and our community. Mark, thank you for all of your work and dedication, both here and across the country. It has been a pleasure and honor to work with you. And in honor of and in celebration of Mark's 30th years of dedication, we would like to present to him a cake. So there was cheesecake out there, but we would like to give him his very own, his favorite plain cheesecake.
So first of all, thank you. And I didn't really know this was happening, but I kind of knew something was happening, so they wouldn't really tell me. I just want to say two things. Number one is I absolutely love what I do and honored to be doing it. I think that's very evident. I hope that's evident, but in my life, I love waking up every day and working for the Jewish community. And even though she will kill me when I do this, but I have to say a thank you to my wife, Sarah, who many of you have never met, but she's actually here tonight. To do this job takes a strong partnership and a great partner. We've moved 4 times for my career, which is not easy on a family when the kids are little, whether the kids are older or what have you, to make new friends, to build a career and all those things. And I'm just, I just couldn't do this without her. Her support and everything. So Sarah, I love you and thank you. And thank you for the cheesecake. I'm going to take it home and freeze it and get ready for Shavuot next week. So I'm all set.
It is now our pleasure to share with you a year in review, one that none of us expected. You may remember that at this time last year at our annual meeting, we shared the data from our Greater Portland Community Study. It was done by Brandeis University, and it included a tremendous amount of information and provided a roadmap for where our community is headed. At the start of this fiscal year, we were incredibly excited to dive deep into that data and develop recommendations for the community. We were to bring together dozens of community leaders to discuss 7 different priority areas. And then October 7th changed our world.
1,200 Israelis massacred, over 250 people taken hostage. The war begins. Israelis are displaced in the area, near the area adjacent to Gaza. Immediately following the Hamas attack, our community held a vigil right here at Neve Shalom. Over 3,000 people in person and virtually came together to hold one another following the horrific tragedy. At the same time, the Jewish Federation quickly mobilized to help raise funds for those impacted and displaced by the Hamas attack. In 6 short weeks, with the incredible support of the Stern family with a major challenge grant, our community raised $2.2 million to support Israel during this time of need. It was an incredible achievement by our community, and we could not be more grateful. Tonight, we're honored to have Noam Schlanger with us. Noam is from Dror, Israel, one of our main funding partners in Israel. He's going to share with us the incredible work they continue to do since the war broke out. Noam?
All right. Good evening. My name is Noam Schlanger. I am an educator in the Dror Israel community in Akko. Some of you have been in the last Federation mission. I wanted to begin by thanking my gracious host, Stephen and Wendy Kahn, and the Stern family and the Jewish Federation of Portland for backing us in this very hard and challenging 8 months. Actually, tomorrow is 8 months since October 7th, and I don't want to start by depressing you too much, but I think everyone in Israel has known loss this way or another. I lost a family member in the war. A lot of my friends have family and friends kept in Gaza, captive. And this is an extremely traumatic time for Israelis of all kinds, Jews, Arabs, whatever. I think it's hard for everyone in many, many ways. And before I take a deeper dive into our emergency programming, I wanted to tell a little bit more about who I am, who we are, what we do, and then explain more about this challenging and dark times in Israel. Dror Israel is a grassroots educational organization. We are 1,300 core members, most of us educators, teachers, principals, counselors, and we live in communities. In the mid-90s, we started establishing what we call urban kibbutzim, which are basically kibbutzim, but in cities, most of them, in more underserved neighborhoods and cities. And instead of waking up each morning and milking cows, we wake up each morning and we go to our high schools, go to our youth movement that I'll speak more about, and educate and try to address what I think is one of the most pressing challenges in Israel currently, which is the internal divisions and gaps and huge, I think, polarization that we encounter. I assume some of you know a lot about what's going on. I'll explain some of the work we do in a minute. So we have 3 main avenues of work. We have the youth movement, one of Israel's oldest and most historic youth movements, Hanoar Ha'oved V'Halomed. It is the largest youth movement that has both Arabs and Jews. We have branches in almost every town, kibbutz, Arab village, Arab town. It is big. We have 90,000 participants and all across the country. We have our schools. We founded and still open up new schools every couple of years. Network of high schools dedicated mostly for at-risk youth, but not just. We opened up a new high school for the Bedouins in the Negev 2 years ago. They're operating with a unique and innovative pedagogy of project-based learning, and they're quite highly acclaimed currently. We have waiting lists, and we have the community projects that are tailor-made. As you know, Israel is a very diverse place. Each community has its own needs. I live in Akko. Akko is a mixed Jewish-Arab city. It is always a mixed city between a lot of Russian speakers, Jewish Russian speakers that take a huge part of the population, almost 30% from the Jewish population in Akko is Russian-speaking. So we address these unique challenges in a very localized way. We operate a lot of language programs, Hebrew for Russian speakers, Arabic for Hebrew speakers, a bike workshop for kids that have no money to fix their bikes, for Arab teens. I work with elderly Russian-speaking folk in a community garden. A lot of small projects. By themselves, no one would change the world, but we have a bunch of these. And we have a bunch of these in each one of our communities, and we have 15 communities. So it's a lot of reach, a lot of capacity for touching people and improving the life of Israelis day by day. There's an old Zionist saying, od ez ve'od dunam, meaning another goat, another acre. It's a slow process. We know and we understand that the challenges we face are not going to end tomorrow, are not going to end in a year or 2 years. We're investing ourselves and dedicating ourselves to education because we believe that it is one of the only strategies for long-term change. That's us. I want to talk about Kibbutz Be'eri. I don't know if any of you have heard about Kibbutz Be'eri, but it's a kibbutz on the border with Gaza. A very strong, resilient community, both socially and financially, that got massacred in October 7th. 10% of the kibbutz was murdered, some held captive. And the kibbutz was liberated at around 8 o'clock in the evening on October 7th. They got evacuated to the hotel in the Dead Sea, the David Hotel. They got there by 11 p.m. in the evening and night. In 7 a.m. in the morning after, we were there on the ground. And while a lot of good people in Israel volunteered and brought donations and musicians came to play, we came and we asked them a simple question: what do you need? And Alice, who runs she's a kibbutz member, she's not a part of Dror, she runs the community educational programs in the kibbutz. She told me 3 weeks ago in a convention, she told us, this was the first time in these horrific 24 hours that I did not felt alone. These communities needed someone to come and not just provide a daily recreational program, which a lot of people did and it was good. They needed someone to come and stay. And the Be'eri preschools, they had 4 preschool classes. 1 preschool teacher murdered, 2 had family members murdered, and 1 was evacuated herself. So we opened up. We understood quite quickly that they need something for the kids because community members started drifting away from the Dead Sea to find places for their kids in a matter of 2 days. We established their preschools. We brought in our educators. You can see the face of Bat, who lives in our community in Akko, which, again, some of you have been in the previous Federation mission. And we relocated a bunch of highly trained, highly experienced educators all the way to the Dead Sea, some of them together with their kids, to live with the Be'eri community, to work with them, and to establish preschools. We still do this. I will say that the only reason that we were able to provide this amazing, amazing program to Be'eri, and not just to Kibbutz Be'eri, to many more kibbutzim and communities, and not just kibbutzim, the main reason we were able to do it is because we have intimate connections to all the places we work in, and we work in a lot of places. This is Ron, a very handsome guy, 2 years younger than me. Ron was the counselor for the Be'eri youth. They were all a part of the youth movement. And Ron was their counselor from 2018 to 2022, when he was promoted to be regional counselor for the entire region. When the 7th of October happened, he got phone calls from the kids, from the youth in Be'eri, telling him, I'm in the shelter. I hear gunshots. I hear screaming outside. And while getting these messages, he got a call from his commander telling him, listen, go south. And he fought and he helped liberate the kibbutz, went on fighting in the war. And the Be'eri youth demanded that he come and stop being a soldier and come and be with them. And that was it. He got discharged. And now he's dividing his time between the hotel, working with the youth that he know and love. Some of them are lost. Some of these young kids and youth are dead now. And he is spending his time between the kibbutz and the army. And again, the only reason this happened is because we had intimate access and trust with a lot of these communities. Now, I will say that Be'eri is a very good example because it's a kibbutz that got hit very bad, and they stood, and they withstand, and they still do. But Be'eri is a very bad example because it's such a strong community. And I will say something that I kind of noticed in my couple of weeks here in Canada. We have more than 100,000 evacuees from the north. Where I live, Akko, we got 3 bomb alerts last week. We are in a war in the north that is uncovered in the media. Even for a lot of Israelis, it is not an easy subject to address because it is very uncertain what will happen, if the war will escalate or not. I may return home on Sunday to a war, basically. I don't know, I hope not. And a lot of these communities on the northern border, which is evacuated, are not strong communities. We have 2 cities totally evacuated, Kiryat Shmona and Shlomi. We have a bunch of kibbutzim evacuated. We have an Arab village evacuated. All of these people are displaced, internally displaced. Some of them lost their jobs. Some of them are 7 months living. Imagine your family living in a cramped, small hotel room with your kid. Imagine your kid being 6 months not meeting his best friend because he got evacuated to the other end of the country. This is happening on a mass scale currently, and this is one of our biggest challenges. We not only work with the kids themselves, I'll skip some of it because we don't have a lot of time, but we don't only work with the kids themselves, we work with a lot of the communities. I will say that imagine a community that gets torn apart. What happens to it after 7 months? Even if the news cycle moves on and images from the 7th of October start fading in the collective memory of some people, the truth is reality got worse. On a displaced family for 7 months, 8 months, things do not get better. And we work hard to address this. We operate a lot of after-school programs in evacuated communities. For example, Kiryat Shmona evacuees that are evacuated to 60 locations. One city evacuated to 60 locations. Imagine the impact on a community. I think no one in Israel understands the long-term implications of what's going to happen. A lot of people are not going to come back to their previous homes. Things are going to change, even if the war ends, and I hope everything will end and things will de-escalate. Things are not going to stay the same, and we're trying very hard to address this over the past 8 months with after-school programming for kids and youth, with makeshift schools that we opened up in many, many places. Some still work and operate. And with, I will say, preparing for escalation, because again, we really honestly don't know what will the future and the near future bring. We're doing our best to work with kids and youth and young leaders and counselors to prepare them for a big war that might happen. If it'll happen, it'll be the biggest war I think we've known for a very long time. We distributed a lot of backpacks with games for kids who have been through counselor training and know how to operate a shelter. We just trained a couple of groups of Arab-Israeli young leadership to deal with emotional trauma. Doing all we can to ensure that whatever happens, and again, I'm hoping for the best, whatever happens, we'll be there with the communities when they need us the most. What I want to say, I will say that on the ground, a lot of good things are happening. I know that the news are depressing, and rightly so. Rightly so. Things are not good. It is a dark, challenging time for a lot of Israelis. On the ground, the amount of solidarity and of amazing dedication that people give out of themselves is amazing. There's a lot of change going on the ground, a lot of people deciding that they're not going back to their old life. I mean, I have some friends that, not a part of the law, that just said, I don't want to work in tech, I'm pivoting my career towards public service. And there's a lot of this going on. A lot of people understand that things need to change, and some of the things that need to change from the grounds up. So there's a lot of people on the ground doing amazing work, amazing work. Just an example, a small example, in the beginning of the war, we collected some supplies for everyone in need. My friends in Akko, very poor Russian-speaking elderly folk, just gave whatever they had. They bring all their toiletries. Some of them, one guy just even, he brought everything and then came back to pick one shaving razor. So he'll have what to shave with. People dedicating really whatever they can and whatever they have to help. So yeah, there's a lot of things going. We're preparing for the summer to operate our huge summer camps and young counselor training. And I want to thank you for the support and for having me here. And I wanted you to know that there's a lot of good people on the ground that would love to hear that you care and that you came here to listen and that you help and support. And many, many people here that I know support and help our programs. So thank you again. Thank you for having me. And I hope you have a great time in this beautiful city. It is beautiful, yeah. Thank you, sure.
Noam, thank you for visiting us here in Portland while you're here in the United States, and we're grateful to the immediate response that Dror had and for the holy work that you continue to do. So this is a challenging time, whether it's here or in Israel. We know that some 200,000 Israelis are still displaced, both near Gaza and throughout the north as rockets fall from Hezbollah. The south, even though some people are coming back home, they're deeply traumatized. And for those hostages who are still alive and held in captivity in Gaza, their lives will never be the same, even if they are released. And as the war continues, we do acknowledge the Palestinian casualties and the humanitarian issues. But sadly, we continue to hear the voices of those who denounce Israel and say that Israel is not a peaceful nation. In this war, Israel is not trying to distance itself from peace. Israel is trying to defeat the enemies of peace because of Israel's desire for peace.
The past year, in particular since October 7th, has been one of the most challenging in terms of addressing the rise of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel activity in our local community. Our Jewish Community Relations Council, the JCRC, both volunteers and professionals, have worked tirelessly to respond to concerns in public school parents whose children have been the target of anti-Semitic bullying. University students who feel unsafe or marginalized on their campuses, and community members who have associations with organizations that have taken one-sided anti-Israel public stances. Where our JCRC team has had success, which unfortunately isn't always possible, it's because of positive relationships that were already formed prior to October 7th, with school district superintendents, elected officials, university presidents, and heads of community organizations. In K-12 education, we have conducted needed professional development workshops on anti-Semitism for multiple public and private schools and school district administrators. We have also reached out to the Portland School Board, which, at our urging, has resisted pressure to issue a statement on the Israel-Hamas war. We have refused to remain silent in the face of the Portland Association teachers' ongoing inappropriate anti-Israel activism and their promotion of propaganda under the guise of curriculum. Portland State University has experienced anti-Israel protests and teach-ins on their campus. The JCRC and Greater Portland Hillel have met with administrators at both schools, impressing upon them the need to take real steps to combat anti-Semitism and to make sure that all students feel safe. The issues go on, including multiple requests for help from school parents as young as 6 to the Oregon Food Bank issuing an anti-Israel sentiment. I want to extend a big Yasher Koach and thank you to Hank Kaplan, chair of our JCRC, the whole JCRC committee, and to Bob Hornstein and Rachel Nelson, who have really been in the middle of every issue.
I just want to add, I'm not sure any of us really understand or recognize every day there's another 4, 5, 6 phone calls that come to our office about these types of issues. And Bob and Rachel have really been unbelievable on this whole issue. So all of this raises questions about the safety of Jews, our Jewish institutions, and our Jewish community, locally and globally. An example of this is now how we now require registration for events like tonight, and you saw security outside. Our community alone spends more than $1.2 million a year just on security personnel in front of our buildings. Sadly, that is the norm. Tonight, we are honored to have Michael Masters here to share more. Michael serves as the National Director and CEO of the Secure Community Network, SCN, which is responsible for the overall leadership, operation, and growth of the official safety and security organization for the Jewish communities of North America. Michael has quite an impressive background, but instead of going through his whole law enforcement background, he is a Harry S. Truman Scholar and a Gates Cambridge Trust Scholar. He has his bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan. My wife went to Ohio State, so be careful. A degree in international relations from the University of Cambridge, and a Juris Doctor from Harvard Law School, where he served as the managing editor for the Harvard International Law Journal. Michael is a recognized expert on issues related to homeland and national security, terrorism, law enforcement, anti-Semitism, and targeted violence. Michael, welcome to Portland.
Thank you very much. It is a real honor to be here. One of the best parts of my position, if there's an upside, is getting to visit 2 to 3 communities every week. And so I'm uniquely cognizant that being invited into any community is very literally being invited into your home. And it's something that I take very seriously, and I'm grateful for the invitation. 80 years ago, the largest amphibious assault in history began today. Young people from around the world parachuted from the sky, glided to the ground, and faced stormy seas and gunfire to liberate Europe from the barbarity of Nazism. Marching across Europe, these young people discovered crimes the likes of which had never been seen. They documented them for history, and those that remain with us still recall them today. So the world doesn't forget. Last month, we commemorated Yom HaShoah. On that day, we remember the 6 million of our community who were murdered. We pay tribute to those who came before us while considering what type of world it is we will impart to those who come after us. On Yom HaShoah in Israel, as many of us know, a siren rang out. Unlike so many sirens of the last days, weeks, and months, it was not a siren portending the incoming of rockets from our adversaries. It was signaling for silence. As it has every year since 1959, the entire country stood still. It shouldn't be lost on any of us that as we stood silent in honor to those taken from us as a Jewish people, it was amidst broader chants and screams. In our cities, on our campuses, chants and screams to globalize the Intifada, to kill Jews. We stood to commemorate those killed while others screamed for it to happen again. And those screams continue today. As we honor those who came before us, what world will we impart to those who come after us? What will be our legacy? Will we be silent? Will we choose to live in fear? Will we take the mezuzot off our homes? Will we tear the Stars of David from around our necks? This is our choice to make. And the choice we make today tomorrow, in the days to come, in rooms like this, in communities like this, will portend the future of Jewish life in this country and around the world today, tomorrow, and for generations to come. For 4,000 years, we have made a choice to survive. We've never faced that choice here before in the United States, and for most, I think we never thought we'd have to. But we do. Some of you may not know it, but in that process of the last several years, we have built for our community the most sophisticated security apparatus to protect any Jewish community outside of the state of Israel right here in the United States. It is protecting our community across the country and right here in Portland. It's built on 5 main pillars: intelligence and information sharing to track incidents and identify bad actors and coordinate with law enforcement; the protection of our physical facilities, from our synagogues to our day schools to our camps; training and emergency preparedness to empower our community; incident response and coordination with partners from law enforcement to the broader faith-based community. I have the privilege of leading the team of intelligence, military, and law enforcement personnel who are dedicated to serving and protecting our community around the country. Just like your security director here in Portland, Jessica Anderson. Jessica, could you stand up? There she is, right back there. A dedicated member of law enforcement who served in the FBI for her career and now serves our community. Investing in security is the down payment we have to make for a Jewish future. And it is investments like the one you are making here in Portland which will ensure our Jewish future. And making that investment today is now more critical than ever. SCN serves as the official liaison to federal law enforcement, to include the FBI. Prior to October 7th, we assessed that we were facing the most complex and dynamic threat environment to ever face the Jewish community and our country in the 247-year history of our nation. Now, I can sit here and talk to you at length about the state and non-state actors from Iran and Hamas, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, supremacists and Nazis, but Mark only gave me 15 minutes. And I prefer to listen. There's an old saying from my grandmother always repeats: when people tell you who they are, listen. So in recent weeks, Iran's supreme leader vowed that the Zionist regime and people will be punished. At the same time, the Islamic State has called for a massacre of Jews here in our country. That followed a call from Al-Qaeda for shooters in the United States to act in vengeance for Palestinians in Gaza. We have seen over the last 10 weeks foiled attacks in Western Europe, South America, and Canada, and successful ones. An Islamic State affiliate attacked a concert venue in Russia, killing 1,000 innocent civilians. Make no mistake, the enemies of Israel and of America are united in their efforts. The terrorists, whether state actors like Iran or others, have made it clear that the United States, including the Jewish community, are targets for future attacks. When people tell you who they are and what they intend to do, listen. So in this reality, it's natural for people to be afraid, to be scared. But we don't need to be. We can, as we have done for thousands of years, harness our strength in the face of the hate we see today. And by standing strong, we can guarantee the strength and vibrancy of Jewish life. Just like Israel has an iron dome to protect it, we are working to build a security shield over the entirety of the Jewish community in North America. And each and every one of you is a part of that. We are not going to choose the time and place of the next incident, but we can choose our preparation. And that is what we are doing. At our command center in Chicago last year alone, we took in 5,404 incident reports, a stunning 112% increase from the year prior. Every day, our team is working with our security professionals like Jessica to collect the dots so we can connect the dots, because a threat that begins in Portland, Maine, today, tomorrow can be here in Portland, Oregon. In 2023, we referred over 1,600 individuals that presented a clear threat to life to federal law enforcement. Last month alone, we referred 76 of these individuals. Law enforcement is taking action on behalf of our community, averaging one arrest every 12 to 16 days that we can speak of. But intelligence only goes so far. Because bad actors can move faster than intelligence, it means every Jewish community, every facility like this one, and every member of the community, each and every one of us, needs to be prepared. That's why last year around the country we did 790 assessments of everything from schools to senior centers to camps, training over 59,000 people last year, to include in the program that you have here over 2,900 that Jessica herself trained alone. If you haven't been one of them, she's right there. Find her at the end and talk to her. Our greatest enemy is not an Islamist extremist or a supremacist. It is denial. Think back to October 7th. In the midst of the violence and bloodshed, consider the Israelis, Arab and Jew alike, that ran to help. Some without weapons, some without their shoes. When rockets fall in Israel and the sirens go off, are our children too frightened to move? Do they freeze? No. And when the lives of Jews are in danger, do we scatter? No. We come together. This is what we do, it is what we have done, and it is what we must continue to do. It's what we're doing here in Portland through your federation, this remarkable organization that convenes the community collectively. And the program you have is second to none. I want to recognize and thank Mark for his partnership, leadership, and his vision. He is too humble. I could not agree more with my colleague and friend Eric Fingerhut. Our federation system recognizes that we are stronger when we work together. In 2018, Mark recognized the same model and impact as our federation system could be made with security. You were one of the first communities to adopt a new model developed with local, state, and federal law enforcement to include guidance and feedback from Jewish communities around the world and security professionals in Israel. And it has made a difference, and I think Mark deserves recognition for that without question. I didn't bring you a cheesecake, just. Since the start of the program, we have identified 292 incidents affecting the community here in Portland. 19 incidents of a suspicious person or vehicle attempting to gain entry to a facility, 15 incidents of anti-Semitic flyering, 11 incidents of harassment. In each instance, your security professional, and supported by the team and network of security professionals of over 110 around the country, and this federation have worked to protect the community. Since the program began, 142 walkthroughs and assessments have been done. Jessica did 35% of those just in the last 18 months. She has worked to protect 34 events with detailed security plans, 212 trainings, 167 formal meetings with law enforcement since 2023 alone, and roughly $4.87 million in federal grant funds secured since we began the program in 2019. $1.76 million last year alone, a record high. The investments in this federation's security program have been returned to the community 15 times over in hard dollars that have put fences around facilities, bollards and access control systems on our synagogues and our day schools and our JCC. This is the value of a best practice program overseen by a professional, engaging volunteers in the community and each and every one of you. I have had the pleasure of traveling around the country to so many different communities, but it has also meant that I have stood in far too many places that have been plagued by violence. Our houses of worship desecrated, our sacred spaces violated. In Pittsburgh, Poway, Colleyville, bullet holes in doors and windows. The adversaries we face are not interested in persuading us. They are interested in ending us. They don't want debate or dialogue. They are calling for death. And does anyone believe for a second that if we give them even one iota of what they want, they will be satisfied? Does anyone believe that they will stop at ripping down the Israeli or American flag on our campuses? Or do we believe that they won't stop until they've torn the Israeli flag down from the Knesset and the American flag off of our Capitol? The question is, are we going to let them? Think back to October 7th, to how we all felt that day, to seeing our community terrorized, brutalized, our kids being taken away in vehicles and on motorcycles, vanished, over 125 still not accounted for. And think about how this community came together after. In weeks, we raised over $800 million. $800 million. This is one of our greatest strengths as a people, to come together, to convene, to raise up Soviet Jewry, to rescue Jews in Ethiopia and Venezuela. But it's also a weakness, because our enemies know that they only need to get one of us somewhere. And it doesn't matter if it's in Seattle or Sderot. Over $800 million to deal with the rampage of monsters. Now, what if we knew, or what if I told you, that on October 6th, for a fraction of the cost, we could prevent the bloodshed? Would we have taken that? What if we could go back to October 26, 2018, the day before the massacre in Pittsburgh, or January 14th, before the hostage attack in Colleyville? Would you make that investment the day before? That is the choice before us today. It is the investment that you have chosen to make in this community. It is the choice that we need to make in every community. Our kids are walking across our campuses and through our schools while facing the slogans associated with Hamas, a designated foreign terrorist organization. That is not free speech, it is support for a foreign terrorist organization. But our enemies are only going to be successful if we let them. For 4,000 years, we've outlasted them. Think of which enemy still exists on this planet that we've faced over our history. That's why meetings like this are so important, and the work that your federation and all of you are doing is so critical. Our success will be assured if we work together. We have a choice to make. We are working together to make that choice. I often think about our Passover holiday this time of year, not the least of which because my grandmother forces me to never forget it. She hosts. The story of Exodus is our history. From Egypt, Spain, Russia, Europe, it doesn't need to be our future. We have the ability and the strength when standing together to say we are not going anywhere. We are not going to take down the mezuzot from our doors. We are not going to tell our kids to hide their stars of David. We are going to support our kids when they want to march proudly as Jews wherever any American should be allowed to march. And if I think back to Yom HaShoah and those that were taken from us, what would they say to us if their voices could transcend time and distance? Would they tell us to be quiet? Would they tell us to sit down? I think they would say, don't let this happen again. And of those who remain from our greatest generation, who stood yesterday in Portsmouth and Normandy, those that are still there, would they tell us the price they paid or their comrades paid was too high for freedom? Or would they say they would do it again if time and age weren't a factor? We owe it to them and our children to say never again, and to let our enemies know we mean it. We are not going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. These are challenging times, and it is such a relief to know that SCN exists and is here looking out for us and protecting us. And we're truly, honored and proud to be partnering with SCN in the security efforts. We are also truly delighted that we have Jessica Anderson, our Community Security Director, working with us and looking out for us and helping us. And I feel confident in saying that security-wise, we're in a good place in Portland, thanks to our partnerships. And now on to a lighter note. So I want to just be clear that, this past year there's been a huge focus on Israel and fighting anti-Semitism and security. But our work, the Federation's work, doesn't stop there. We at Federation have been working and supporting the community throughout the whole year, as we do year after year. So this past year alone, the Federation has supported, these are the exciting things we've done, 260 children in Jewish day schools. I have a list, so you don't have to clap after each one. So we have supported 1,400 children who have received Jewish books monthly from PJ Library. 85 children received Jewish overnight camp incentive grants. 81 Holocaust survivors received needed services so they can live their lives in dignity. The Eastside Jewish Commons and its wide array of inclusive programming. The Oregon Jewish Museum and Center for Holocaust Education, as they battle anti-Semitism and provide education about Holocaust in the schools and throughout the community. The Jewish Review's new podcast. Hopefully you guys have all listened. This latest one was featuring Mark over here. Hundreds of young adults experiencing Shabbat dinners together via One Table. Dignity Grows and its distribution of free feminine hygiene products to partner organizations and the community. Dozens of requests for Jewish free loan. More young adult initiatives and support for Jewish college students by our Hillel and Chabad programs on campuses. And so much more. Honestly, I could go on and on, but it will take too long. That is the work of the Jewish Federation. And we're not done, right? Our work continues. So remember earlier, the very beginning of the evening, when I talked about or reminded you of our community study, and that our year was really meant to be focusing on that. Well, fortunately, we were able to begin the process in December. And in the course of 2 months, 90 community leaders came together to focus on those 7 priority areas. We are pleased to share with you where we are headed.
Thank you, Mindy. So the 7 priority areas that we talked about, the first is Israel. How do we bring Israel here to Portland? We are looking at bringing back a community shaliach, a trained community development professional and their family to come and live here for 2 to 3 years to help us inform the community about Israel and all its beauty. We also plan to create Israel dialogue groups. One of the hardest parts of this whole issue of this war is people not talking to each other. We live in our echo chambers. We don't want to learn and we don't want to listen. And we want to make sure we're able to do that across the community itself. We're focused on the issue of Jewish literacy. We're planning to hire a Jewish life educator to work with every Jewish organization in town and across the entire community to bring additional educational opportunities to bear for our community. Mental health was one of the biggest issues in our community study. Teen mental health, initiatives and programs addressing loneliness. I learned a long time ago that most people don't die because of illness or hunger, etc. They die of loneliness. We want to find ways to break down those barriers. And at the same time, we want to help people navigate the social service system to find what they need. We talk about volunteerism. We're going to be hiring a centralized hands-on volunteer coordinator to work with all of our Jewish organizations in town to help you find your place in the Jewish and non-Jewish community to get your hands dirty and and spend your time helping others. We talk a lot about engagement in the community. We're going to be embarking on a 7-day market survey where we're going to do multiple focus groups in different areas of town to find out what do people really want in Jewish communal life. At the same time, we have a fund set up where we're going to provide small grants to neighborhood-based, neighbor-led programming. If you want to bring 10 people to your house to play bingo, we'll give you $180 to help buy the food, etc. We just want to be there to connect with them. Those kind of simple things make an enormous impact. We're looking at having a mega community event to show the pride of our Jewish community, to show the general community of Portland who we are and that we're not afraid to stand out. And we're also going to be having a stronger concierge Shalom Portland program for all the newcomers who move to town. And finally, one of the other issues we learned in our community study was about poverty. 1/4 of our Jewish community can barely make ends meet. We want to help support them with financial literacy programs and empowerment programs, including our Jewish free loan that was mentioned by Mindy, to make sure that we can help those people help themselves along the way. To do this takes both human and financial resources. And this is my opportunity to really allow you all to shine, because this was a record-breaking year in total financial resource development for our community. Our annual campaign, under the leadership of Jack Birnbach and Leslie Beard, along with our Chief Development Officer, Wendy Kahn, raised $4,115,000 this year. Not only an increase in our campaign, and more importantly, we had a 12% growth in the number of donors to our campaign. When I started in this field 30 years ago, I'll never forget the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Cleveland. His name was Steve Hoffman. He once stood up at a conference and he said, "It's not about how much money you raise, it's about how many donors you have. Because donors are your referendum on whether you're doing good work or not. The more donors mean more people believe and support the work that you're doing." So we're grateful for that, for everybody's participation in the annual campaign. I mentioned earlier about our Israel Emergency Fund, and with the generous grant from the Stern family and the outpouring of support from our community, we quickly raised $2.2 million. I mentioned just a second ago the community study recommendations. We realize that we need $1.5 million to provide all of those services over the next 2 to 3 years in our community. With a very generous challenge grant from the Zidell family, in 6 weeks, we have already raised $900,000 towards that $1.5 million goal. And with Michael here, he talked about security. He mentioned the $4+ million of grants that we've received from the federal government, from the National Nonprofit Security Grant from the Department of Homeland. We recently found out about an opportunity for $750,000 in matching funds for security needs. We quickly jumped into action, and in just 2 weeks, we've already raised $1,050,000 towards our $1.5 million goal. And lastly, I mentioned a few months ago in one of my Mark's Remarks on Friday, I shared about a man named Marvin Harris, who identified himself as the only Jew in Prineville, Oregon. When he passed away, he left his entire estate to the Jewish Federation of Greater Portland. $3.4 million, the largest gift we have ever received in our history. The one caveat of his gift, of his estate, that kind of threw us for a loop at the time was that the funds had to be used to provide care and services for orphans in Israel. Sadly, since the start of the war, there are 120 orphans who lost both their parents. And through Marvin's generosity and our Jewish Federation, we are now taking care and helping taking care of those 120 children. Something we should be very, very proud of. So in unprecedented times, in challenging times, our community rose to the occasion, and this year we have raised $11,665,000 as a total investment in Jewish life. It's really remarkable, and we couldn't do it without all of you.
So all of these funds that were raised this past year and every year really allow us to do the work that we do at Federation. They also allow us to support all of these incredible agencies that we partner with here locally and over in Israel, and are really on the front lines at every moment doing all of the great work that we do to create a vibrant and wonderful community. I just want to take a moment to thank Mark for his leadership, our campaign chairs, and everybody who was involved with the campaign for helping it end so incredibly and having a really record-breaking year. And I also want to thank each and every one of you for getting us here and being part of this communal effort. So thank you.
I have to recognize Mindy Zeitzer, who's now, I guess, my 7th chair of the board that I've worked with, and she's lucky number 7. She is just an incredible partner, a thoughtful person, somebody who's actually worked their way through the entire system. She was our campaign chair, she was our planning and allocations chair, and now she's the chairman of the board, and she understands every facet of our Jewish community. And Mindy, I can't thank you enough for your partnership, your friendship, and everything that you do. Mindy gets 1 slice of cheesecake, so. In addition, I want to thank our board of directors for the work that they do. It's not easy, it takes time, and it takes thoughtfulness to think through communal issues. I also want to just acknowledge the incredible professional team at the Jewish Federation. I'd like you all to stand up. We are. I will easily say this, in my 30 years, and I've worked in communities that had 70 professionals, 120 professionals, and 50 professionals, I've never worked with a better group of professionals in my life. I'm honored to work with them every single day. At the same time, I'd like every Jewish professional in the room to please stand up. From any organization, every Jewish professional, please stand up. These are my heroes, the people who do this day in and day out, to wake up every day on your behalf to watch our Jewish community thrive. You're remarkable people, and I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I want to echo his thanks. Because while I could never do justice to the words he uses, I am incredibly grateful for all of the work that our Jewish professionals do to keep this community amazing. So thank you. And in conclusion, as we wrap up the evening, I just want to say that I could not be more proud to be chair of this organization, of the board. And really, only the Jewish Federation can simultaneously fight against anti-Semitism, fight for Israel, and fight for Jewish life and vibrancy, all at the same time. Only the Jewish Federation can create a wonderful Jewish community and use every tool to make sure that Jewish life is better for you, for me, for our whole mishpacha around the world. And that is the power of the Jewish Federation. Thank you for coming this evening. And I, for one, am looking forward to a much better year ahead. Am Yisrael Chai. Amen. Good night.
Thank you all for coming. Enjoy. Thank you.